The New York Jets found another excruciating way to lose a football game. We'll react to the Jets' loss to the Buffalo Bills and why it's time to be off with his head for Greg Zuerlein. Let's go.
I'm going to lose my gosh darn bananas. Boy Green Daily starts now. Zoinks!
I made it clear that my intention was to play, and my intention was to play for the New York Jets.
You're fucking wrong!
Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily. Not Boy Green Daily, excuse me. Welcome to a post-game show. I'm all out of sorts here because the Jets found, like I said just a few minutes ago, a creative way to lose a ball game that they should have won, losing 23-20 to the Buffalo Bills at home. Man. Greg Zuerlein, man. Let's just talk about him. We got a full column in the YouTube description down below. The life of a kicker. I've never been a kicker in my life. I've played running back. I've played corner. Even in practice, when we had a lot of injuries, I played middle linebacker. I've never played kicker. And some days you have it, and some days you don't. Some days you're beloved, and some days you're not. Greg Zuerlein, man. Legatron, all these things. He's historically been a really, really good kicker with a monster leg. But something's been off, man. He missed the game-winning field goal against the Denver Broncos. Could have played hero then in week 4. He blows it. Today, misses 2 field goals. In the preseason, misses another couple field goals against the New York Giants, another 2. Something is wrong with this guy. I don't know what's wrong with him, but something is clearly wrong with Greg Zuerlein, and it's deflating. He missed a 32-yarder today. Dude, come on, man. I don't give a flying hoot what the wind condition is or this or that. After a while, it's just excuses. He misses a 32-yarder and a 43-yarder, and we lose the game by 3. We had a chance to have the game tied. We have a chance to win the game. All of it there. The last 3 Jets drives were missed 32-yard field goal, missed 43-yard field goal, and the interception by Aaron Rodgers. It's time. It might be time to move on from Greg Zuerlein, man. This is not an isolated incident. Like I said, he missed a kick against the New England Patriots. We didn't really pay much attention because the Jets blew out New England, so it didn't matter. He misses 2 today. He misses the game winner against Denver. It's just time after time after time. He just continues to blow it. And it's frustrating. There have been years past where he's made unbelievable kicks. The win last year against Washington, last-second win. And the Jets signed him to a 2-year deal, $8.4 million this offseason. That's $4.2 million of that guaranteed. If the Jets decide to move on from him, they'd have to eat $4.1 million in dead cap money. Maybe that's the reason that the New York Jets are not going to be moving on from Greg the Legman. It just sucks. Your kicker is supposed to be this reliable piece to the puzzle. And he has been anything but this season for the New York Jets, which, like I said, right off the top is incredibly deflating. Before we get to the phone lines, and the phone lines are open, unlike Boy Green Daily, where we open up those phone lines in the second half of the show, here on this program, after every post-game performance, post-game recap show, we open up the phone lines immediately. So we'll get to your calls. So I appreciate those who are waiting. But before we get to those calls, I think it's important, as I'm saying, and also you can read in the column, a lot of fans on social media are calling for the head of Greg Zuerlein to be put on a pike outside of one Jets drive. And a lot of people are ready to move on. Financially, it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to move on, and depends what your other options are. Of course, that's always the number one thing. That's always number one. What are you going to do from that perspective? But let's hear from Jeff Ulbrich, because not only does it not make sense financially speaking, for the Jets to be able to do this. But after hearing the comments from Jeff Ulbrich after the game, it sure doesn't sound like the Jets are going to be moving on from Greg Zuerlein anytime soon. And I don't know whether that's good news or bad news. I'll let you guys determine it. But here it is. This is Jeff Ulbrich. There are two answers paired together. Jeff Ulbrich, again, he's the interim head coach. He kind of did a state of the state on his opening remarks from the game, commenting on offense, defense, special teams. So you'll hear a comment from Ulbrich talking about Greg Zuerlein, and then you'll hear a question from a beat reporter, I believe that's Brian Costello, asked him specifically about Greg Zuerlein. You will hear both exchanges. Here is Jeff Ulbrich on Greg Zuerlein.
Where we got to get better, when we got scoring ops, we got to score. And this entire locker room, this entire organization, and I'd hope this entire fan base has great belief in Greg. And we're going to have winning moments in this season where he'll win games for us. We know that, and I believe that 100%.
We've all seen what he's done here in the last few years.
Yeah.
But, he missed a couple in the preseason, missed one against New England, missed a big one against Denver, and then two here tonight that would have won you the game. I mean, do you guys have to be concerned about him right now?
I mean, everything you take a hard look at, but I'm not concerned with Greg. I know the track record of this man, and I know he's going to catch his rhythm here, and we're going to roll.
Spoiler alert, he says, I hope the fan base believes. I don't right now. Absolutely not, based on those results. All right, let's go to the phone lines for some positivity, perhaps. Pep joined us here on the show. What's up, Pep?
Hey, Paul. Just a few things. Some craziness. This season's been very crazy so far. And for example, the penalties, of course, and the slow starts and the gashing up the middle. But there was also a lot of weird penalties. For example, the run up the middle with Allen that was taken off the ball because, that was kind of a Fugazi holding. We really didn't, there was also a ghost penalty on our center Tipman at one point.
Oh.
And I'm like, where's the penalty? I don't see it, And okay, that's typical Jet ranting, blah blah blah.
Right.
But really the biggest, I think we're really basically, we only lost one game this season and we beat ourselves the rest. Right? I mean,
the 49ers, we got pistol whipped, no doubt about it. I'm reading the tea leaves you are. We got straight up beat. And in that game, I can't go, well, if you just change this in the second quarter. Yeah, exactly. We got our ass beat. But you go to the three in a row here of Denver, obviously. Greg Zuerlein misses a game-winning field goal. They are well within his distance. We're not talking about a 65-yarder. He kicked a 50-yarder. It's right there. He misses it. We go to the Vikings game. Obviously, everything that happened in that game. You can point to a million different plays if you want, but the Jets had the ball. Aaron Rodgers had the ball from like the 25-yard line with a minute to go to win that game. And then obviously everything that's happened today. So yeah, that's the brutal part of it. That you see 2 and 4, you're like, disgusting. The Jets are mired in mediocrity in the AFC East, but all you have to do is squint just a little to see 3 and 3, 4 and 2, 5 and 1, and that's frustrating. That's frustrating.
Yeah. The other thing is the whole big accountability mantra that was going on this week. It didn't seem like it stuck too good.
No, it did not. And, we can question some of the Fugazi nature of the penalties, but man, the alarming amount are just too many little mistakes. Again, pick any one of those out. And so Ulbrich says he's going back to figure out what those are and cracking the whip and taking guys out who aren't effective or doing whatever he has to do to fix it. And that's got to be the answer because, again, just not good enough. Not good enough. You can't make that many mistakes against an AFC East rival like that and, plan on winning the game. They just shot themselves in the foot too many times. There was good, but just too much bad that outweighed the good.
Now, on the flip side, the AFC is really in a shambles this season. We still have a chance to get in there.
Sure.
It's still a season to go. But I think now more than ever, we have to make the push for Devontae and for Adam. For Adams.
Hassan Reddick.
Reddick.
Yeah, I got you.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe get a fatty for the middle or something to clog up that middle, Yeah.
And
that's all I got to say. Don't worry. We're still in it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I appreciate it, Hap. Thanks for the positivity. We are absolutely still in it at 2-4. There's no doubt about it. But it's hard not to be disappointed with what we saw this evening. There's absolutely just no way to not be upset and perturbed, quite frankly, by what was left on the field. And we can, again, point to a lot of things. And one of the big reasons the Jets lost is their inefficiency in the red zone. So Greg Zuerlein, certainly, I mean, that's very obvious. They lose by 3 and he missed 2 gimme field goals. You could have won the game that way. But the red zone, man, of settling for field goals. Braylon Allen scores a touchdown. Tyron Smith has a penalty. First off, he wasn't really involved in the play. And then the penalty's kind of, it's kind of mid. That takes a touchdown off the board. Garrett Wilson catches what appears to be his second touchdown. He gets hit right on top of the ball. Ball drops out. That's a touchdown. The missed field goal, obviously, that one factors in. There's just, man, the red zone inefficiency right from the get-go. Bills are scoring touchdowns. The Jets were scoring field goals. It's just that simple. After the game, let's hear from Aaron Rodgers. He called this a golden opportunity, quite frankly, that the Jets blew.
It's not really early anymore in the season. At 2-4, is there concern about being able to get this turned around before it's too late?
Well, I think there's concern, but that's important. You know, we need to get going. This was a golden opportunity. Some games you win in the NFL, and some games you give away. This was a giveaway. I mean, we're terrible in the red zone. We missed 2 field goals. Didn't convert on a 2-minute drive. We had plenty of chances. Had the momentum. Had good drives. Moved the ball up and down the field. So disappointing.
That last point, I mean, we changed play callers, and blessed be he. Todd Downing is the second coming of the Messiah. The Jets are moving the ball all over the gosh darn place. It was great to see the protection, the running game renewed. I mean, it was spectacular. There was a lot of good that happened in this game, but it's obviously mired by the negative of losing the game in a game that a lot of people feel like you should have won. Brees Hall had 113 rushing yards, 6.3 per clip. And he had a 42-yarder, which was awesome. Braylon Allen was completely ineffective, only had 3 carries for 8 yards. It just wasn't there. It just wasn't there for Braylon, but it was certainly there for Brees. Aaron Rodgers had his best game as a member of the Jets, 23 of 35, 294 passing yards, just short of the 300 yards. 8.4 per clip, had 2 touchdowns, and then the 1 pick that you throw to Mike Williams. And we'll get into Mike Williams actually in Boy Green Daily in a couple hours. I'll kind of save that rant for a couple hours on old Mike Williams there. But yeah, I mean, Aaron looked spectacular. Remember, we had old Ty Dunn join us earlier this week, our Bleacher Report buddy, covered the Bills, also covered the Packers, said Aaron Rodgers looks washed. Not so much. What about that friggin' Hail Mary at the end of the first half? I mean, that's Aaron Rodgers' magic, baby, which was awesome. But again, a lot of that gets lost when you lose. The Hail Mary gets lost. The success on offense, the running the football, a lot of that gets lost when you lose. There's just no other way to put it. Allen Lazard had the 6 catches, 114 yards, and the tutty. Obviously, a lot of that padded by the Hail Mary, which was a 52-yarder. Garrett was great, 8 catches, 107 yards, touchdown. He got targeted 10 times. He's the most targeted wide receiver or player, for that matter, in the NFL. They revealed that on the broadcast. Brees Hall got involved in the passing game. That was great to see. 5 catches, 56 yards. There was just a lot of really good. A lot of really good from that perspective. The receiving was there. The defense, oh, God. Oh, Lord have mercy. How can I not talk about this? Ashton Davis. I mean, what a loss for the Jets. They lose Chuck Clark in the middle of the game. He ends up being ruled out. But Ashton Davis was a gosh darn pinata, for God's sakes. I mean, he was just awful. He couldn't do anything in run defense. He was picked on in pass coverage. We're talking about Mac Hollins here, people, for the love of God. What are we we're not talking about Stephon Diggs. It's freaking Mac Hollins, and he gives up an easy touchdown, barely has any coverage whatsoever. Ashton looks awful. So a sneaky, maybe not so sneaky thing they're going to have to address is getting another safety, or all of a sudden Jalen Mills is the new starter if Chuck Clark is out for any significant period of time. Put the Green Goblin back there, because Ashton Davis was just getting whomped all over the field. And it's not as if the Bills have these crazy pass catchers. It was pathetic. So Ashton, boy, we may need to see a benching in his very near future. And it just goes to show you, the things that happen in games. So we talked about the red zone inefficiency. We've talked about the penalties. We talked about Greg Zuerlein's miss. What about this? Will McDonald strip sacks Josh Allen, and the ball just bounces right back to Buffalo, and they end up scoring a touchdown on the next play. And you're just like, you've got to be friggin' kidding me. Will McDonald strip sack. The Jets are right there. They recover it. The Bills not only don't score a touchdown, they don't score a field goal. The Jets are the ones that maintain the ball, and then we change it again. The Jets end up getting the Hail Mary at the end, but you trade your 7 for 7 in exchange, you would have taken points off the board for Buffalo. The ball bounces another way. That totally sucks. It's just incredibly unfortunate from that perspective. Again, I thought a lot of the penalties were trash. I did not get the Javon Kinlaw roughing the passer one. Josh Allen gets a Oscar for that acting performance. I will say Breece Hall in general, and I wrote this. I have like a Google Doc with me as the game's going on. I put a little nuggets and notes and things of that nature in there. And for Breece, I just went, wow, there seems to be a confidence. There's a demeanor difference. Like, okay, he just appears to be more into it from a mental perspective. Obviously, the stats are the stats, but I just wrote it to myself, said, wow, Breece looks better. And it was before the numbers really exploded. And then he has this really good game. So excited for that. Yeah, I think what this also proves tonight is the Jets have to mind their details. This is a game of inches. This is attention to detail. And these little details are adding up, and the Jets are finding creative ways to lose. Up next, they have to travel to Pittsburgh and play the Steelers. Now, I'll say this. The Steelers' defense is awesome. Justin Fields is whatever. He's a mediocre quarterback that has some rushing ability. And Mike Tomlin has him playing right where he's not turning over the ball a lot, and he's obviously dynamic as a runner. But you're going to be playing in an iconic venue against an iconic franchise on Sunday Night Football. And for the Jets, there's a lot of desperation here at 2-4. You don't want to drop the 2-5, lose another AFC conference game, which they just lost with Buffalo, and obviously have the Denver loss as well. The Jets are in desperation mode, and it's going to be very difficult on another short week. Obviously, they played on Monday Night Football tonight. It's now Tuesday morning, technically, as we're doing this live show right now. And you have to turn around and play the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are waiting comfortably after playing yesterday. So the Jets have no time for the weary. They immediately have to turn this around. We'll keep an eye on a couple of the injuries. Chuck Clark gets hurt. And we'll keep an eye on some of the others for who Mike Williams gets hurt at the end of the game with some sort of a head injury of some sort. So we'll keep an eye out for that. Obviously, Michael Carter II did not play in this game. So there's a lot to be figured out, long story short. But yeah, this was deflating. This was demoralizing is a word Gary Wilson used after the game because you had this game. You had Buffalo against the ropes. Aaron Rodgers said we should have scored 30 plus, and then this isn't a conversation here at the end of the game. The Jets just did not cash in on the red zone opportunities. They did not convert the field goals they should have made. We're not talking about 60-yarders, 65-yarders. We're talking about very, 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 very simple, short field goals that a kicker with the resume that Greg Zuerlein has should be able to easily make. And it sounds like the Jets are going to stick with him. But, boy, they better start doing phone calls about competition and God knows what, because – this is going to keep the Jets out of the playoffs. Some of these losses where we look back at the end of the year and the Jets are 8-9, we're like, damn, we left 2, 3, 4 wins on the table here. And those are the ones you're going to go back to and say, damn, if we win those, we're in the playoffs. And the Jets can't afford, they don't have the luxury to be able to be giving away games like this. Straight up. And, yeah, it was tough. It was tough. Yeah, DJ Reed, he's another one that got injured. He hurt his groin. He did not return to the game. He looked really great for most of the game outside of a penalty here or there. DJ Reed has looked like their best corner. He gets hurt. Obviously, Brandon Echols comes in the game. Brandon Echols gets picked on. He's normally been a really solid guy for us. He gets picked on a bit, which was tough. And, yeah, I just can't believe it. I just can't believe the Jets lost this game. I had so much excitement for this game. The middle of the game where you're seeing the offensive explosions from Todd Downing, you're like, okay, this ship is turned in the right direction and things are popping. I will just reiterate this. Excuse me. Everything is still in front of the Jets at 2-4, but I'm pissed, obviously, at the results so far. It just sucks. It sucks to be 2-4, especially when you have 3 straight losses that came down to the nitty gritty. This is why you brought Aaron Rodgers here, to win those kinds of games. And he has not been able to win those kinds of games so far, unfortunately. If you go through the wins that the New York Jets have had, the defense closed the game out against Tennessee. Shout out to Will McDonald in closing that one out. And then they blew the barn doors off New England, and that's the 2 wins. That very simple. That's the list from that perspective. All right, I think we have this set up. Joe the Jet joined.
Yeah. Hey, Paul Boy Green. Honest. To be honest, I can't get my cam going, unfortunately, so I'm gonna have to talk to you with my voice.
Sure. Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, but sure. Yeah.
All right. So, I'm pretty sad right now. I said it on Jay Gasman's show earlier on. This team makes me want to die. I can't take it anymore, honestly. Just this team just keeps on losing in just the same fashion. It's just so tiring. I was a fan all the way back in 2009 and 2010 when they made back-to-back AFC Championship games, and that feels so long ago from now. And the fact that they're staring this season in the face, and staring another year of no playoffs in the face it's just killing me, honestly. And it's getting really exhausting. And the fact that how people make Jets jokes, and sometimes you laugh at them now. Like, I'm getting to the point where it's not there. When people say Jets jokes, I actually get offended. Like, it's getting that upsetting for me. Like I can't take it anymore. Honestly, I really can't. I can't take this team losing and not making the playoffs. I really can't. And people say oh, if they do lose and not make the playoffs, here's what's going to happen if they don't make the playoffs. Right?
Okay. Sure.
Rodgers is not going to come back. I don't think he's going to come back. I think we're gonna fire Douglas.
Mm-hmm.
We're bringing a new GM. We're gonna bring in a new head coach, and we're gonna bring in a new quarterback in the draft, and probably make Tyrod Taylor the Band-Aid starter.
Wow.
But yeah, no, it's looking grim. I think that's what's gonna happen. I hope to God it doesn't, honestly. But
of course,
I think that's what's gonna happen, and knowing this team, that's not going to work, and it's going to be another 5 years of no playoffs, and it'll get to in the playoff drought. We'll get to 20, and I hope to God I'm wrong. I hope that Jesus Christ Himself I'm wrong. I really do.
Yeah, Joe, I feel you. We're all going through it right now. The good news is, if there is any good news after that very deflating loss to the Buffalo Bills, is when I take a peek at the schedule here, is that the New York Jets play a Pittsburgh team. While their record's good and the atmosphere is going to be crazy, you can force Justin Fields into mistakes. You play New England. That's eminently winnable. And then obviously you have some very interesting games. Houston obviously is a very talented team on a short week, but Arizona has looked beatable. The Colts have looked beatable. Seattle's looked beatable. So that's just the next grouping of games. So all of it's there. And based on what we saw from the offense with Todd Downing, if this is just the first game of Todd Downing's calling, damn, if they can figure out the red zone stuff, which is, by the way, something Todd Downing excelled in Tennessee the last time he was an offensive coordinator, all of a sudden you pair that with a defense and we're in a really good place. But, that's not comfortable to hear, like I said, coming off your third straight loss in this epic fashion. But that's the positive nuggets that I see from this.
Yeah, no, it's just I get it. It's just deflating. But honestly, call me very pessimistic. I have no faith. If they let's just say they can't get the run going in Pittsburgh, which is a possibility. Sure. I think this team is in deep trouble. Let's just say Najee Harris, the run defense looks how it did tonight, and Najee Harris does what he did against the Raiders, against us, and we can't get the run going. I think we have an issue going on for next Sunday night. And and looking at the Patriot game, I know this is a little too pessimistic and too okay, you might be reaching here for being a little bit just very pessimistic here. But Drake May look pretty damn good. his first game, his first action against Houston. I know he threw the 2 picks, but man, oh man, the 3 touchdowns. I mean, it looked like New England actually had like life offensively. I know their O-line still stinks. I know there's a lot of things in New England that just is still not there. But if the Jets, let's just say, drop the Pittsburgh game and drop the New England game, it's over. Like I can't,
no doubt.
I
Yeah.
can't defend this team no longer. Like there's no justifying it. Like this team is done if they drop those 2 games. So I hope to God they take one of them. Honestly,
Yeah.
But if it is the way I think it's gonna be, like the Jets, they drop in Pittsburgh and then they crap the bed in New England. Like there's no route to making the playoffs this year, especially talking about a team like the Dolphins that are going to get their quarterback back in a few weeks.
Sure.
It's like we had it right there, man. We freaking had it. We freaking had it right there. And Buffalo does not look good either. I'm just going to say this.
No.
So every Buffalo fan who's watching this, which probably they're not, but every Buffalo fan, your team sucks too. I'm just saying that. They do not look disciplined either. I'm going to just say this to every Buffalo fan. Sean McDermott is still going to hold your team back from winning a Super Bowl. That's just how I think. That game, if your team was as good as what you thought it was going to be, you should have blown us out. The fact that you didn't blow us out and your team was still undisciplined, the fact that Deion Dawkins was talking crap and got penalized and kept us in the game, sort of. I mean, it just shows how undisciplined Buffalo is and how I think, Buffalo is. There's issues going on down there, but just, I mean, Greg Zuerlein, man. I mean, if he just made those 2 kicks,
we win. We're having a much different tone, obviously, in this post-game show right now. We'd be in first place in the AFC East, which just speaks to that opportunity that was just blown tonight.
I mean, and if he makes the kick against Denver, I think Robert Saleh has a job right now. For
That's
Christ's
1,000% true. That's 1,000% true. Yes,
it feels like Greg Zuerlein has let this team down.
He has
on multiple occasions. I remember seeing this in the preseason game where he missed 2 straight kicks, and I'm like,
yeah.
I think this might be an issue going into the season, and it has. I think there needs to be, if this keeps up, let's just say next week we're seeing him miss kicks again.
Yeah,
they got to bring in competition, whether that be acquiring a guy at the trade deadline, either acquiring Nick Folk for a 6th-round pick, bring Folk Hero back. He has been automatic for the Titans, and the Titans suck. So. Giving like a 6th-round pick for a kicker? I mean, hell yeah. I mean, anyone would take a 6th-round pick for a freaking kicker, to be perfectly honest, especially the Titans. So I know it's crazy to suggest this thing, but we need consistency on kicking. And the fact that Zuerlein has just turned into a inconsistent kicker, even the kick he made today looked like it was going to be missed too. Like he was completely off tonight. He just was not the same player as what we saw last year. He's not as automatic as what he was. So there's an issue there.
Yeah, there's no question. He's actually, a couple of his kicks he's made this year, I've kind of squinted to win, and then made him like, okay, he made it there. But yeah, it sounds like they're going to stick with him through Pittsburgh. But man, if there's issues in Pittsburgh, they better have people on speed dial ready to go, because you can't be giving away points. Jeff Ulbrich said it after the game today that when you're in scoring opportunities, you have to cash in, especially when you're sucking in the red zone. You have to at least come away with 3 every time, if not the touchdown. So yeah, there's no doubt about it.
Exactly. But the person I would speed dial if this keeps on going and this keeps on crapping the bed like right here with Zuerlein, because let's be honest, Greg Zuerlein looked like Cody Parkey hitting the uprights left and right.
Twice.
It was bad. I mean, he actually technically hit a double doink technically, because he hit 2 on the uprights. So that's
impressive almost. Yeah.
So for Halloween, he dressed up as Cody Parkey, but I still would, if I'm Joe Douglas again, the person that I put on speed dial is the Titans, and I would tell him, hey, Nick Folk for a 6. Bring Folk Hero back. I remember watching that guy in the Jets uniform with number 2. He was the most clutchiest Jets kicker in a long time, and we let him go, and we had a drought with kickers. So bring him back, bring him home if if Greg Zuerlein ain't the dude.
I love it. Joe the Jet, thanks for the call, and a great point. It's not crazy at all. I am completely on board with investigating other options for the New York Jets at place kicker after what I've seen so far. It'd be one thing if it was a one game and he'd been great the rest of the year. He missed the 2 kicks in the Giants preseason game that had a lot of us cocking our head sideways. He missed the game winner against Denver. He missed a kick against New England, but we didn't really care because we blew out New England, but a lot of us noted that in the back of our heads. Greg Zuerlein is having issues right now, and the Jets can't be the partner to someone who's having these issues when there's losing these key games. He makes the kick against Denver, we win. He makes 1 or 2 kicks tonight. We either go to overtime or we have the win straight up. Come on, man. I don't know what we're doing here. So 1,000%, that is completely on the table. And as some people have been talking about in the comment section here, it's time to figure shit out with Hassan Reddick, man. Getting another pass rusher that can finish. Will McDonald had the strip sack. That was nice. So I believe that takes him to 7 sacks on the season. I believe he gets full credit for that. I'll double check the statistics once those are officially through. But so many times we had guys that were right there for Josh, and then he escapes and makes a big play. Hassan Reddick is a guy that would have finished. So let's see on the Hassan Reddick thing. New agency, new representation. Looks like there's new optimism. A deal could get done there. Let's get Devontae Adams. Mike Williams, man. And like I said, I'm going to save this rant for a couple hours. We're going to have Boy Green Daily live at 7:30 in the morning. I got some things to say about Mike Williams, and it's not very nice. And that one's coming up in a few hours, man. It's getting incredibly frustrating with the Mike Williams experience. And I'm trying to be patient because this guy missed basically all of last year with the torn ACL, and he's joining this team and trying to figure things out, but terrible. Terrible. Absolutely. And like I said, we'll talk about that in more detail. Long story short, folks, it's 2 a.m, so we'll be getting ready for Boy Green Daily here shortly. Jets lose 23-20. The penalties were awful. The Jets missed 2 field goals. The Jets sucked in the red zone. Aaron Rodgers looked good. Breece Hall looked good. Garrett Wilson looked good. The Hail Mary was awesome. But too many mistakes, too many self-inflicted wounds have put the Jets in this hole. But I will reiterate to Joe and everyone else who is as negative as you should be, by the way, I'm not telling you how to feel. But the season is not over at 2-4. The season is on urgent alert, if you want to put a label on it, because you're heading to Pittsburgh. You got to win that game. You got to win the game. Then you got to sweep New England. You're a better team than New England. I'm not saying like Joe the Jet win one of the. No, you win both. That's what you have to do to get back into the mix here. And then you play that Houston team on a short week who's pretty damn good. So you gotta flip the script. You win those 2, Pittsburgh, New England. All of a sudden we're 4-4. Whoa, we're back to 500. Okay, let's play the Houston Texans and let's see where we're at. That's where the Jets need to be. But Greg Zuerlein, I'm investigating other options. Like I said, you guys can read my full column on this in the YouTube description down below. Make sure you guys like the video. Make sure you hit subscribe, baby, and we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. We'll be back on in a couple hours here for Boy Green Daily, and we'll be discussing Mike Williams and the problem that exists there. But the Jets need to figure out a lot of their own issues, obviously the penalties and everything of that nature. But one other thing they need to figure out is a Hassan Reddick and Devontae Adams situation and add more talent to this team, and let's try to go win some ball games. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in to the post-game show, and we will see you in a couple hours for Boy Green Daily live at 7:30 in the morning.